Good evening, you're now with me, Razi Ahmad, for TVS Nightline. Here are the headlines for tonight. Sarawak reaffirms its commitment to exploring the potential of producing biofuel and sustainable aviation fuel from palm oil waste. Lima 25 closes with 1,400 business-to-business meetings and a record-breaking 450,000 visitor turnout. And in world news, Russia launches a massive drone and missile attack on Kyiv during a major prisoner swap between the two warring states. Sarawak is committed to exploring the potential of producing biofuel and sustainable aviation fuel from palm oil waste. Sarawak Premier Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Joritun Openg said this is an innovation that is not only environmentally friendly, but also capable of generating new economic revenue. According to him, with over 85 palm oil mills operating across the state, Sarawak is well positioned to gather and convert palm industry waste into high-value energy products.
BIOFUEL boleh menjadi asas untuk mengeluarkan SAF, dan SAF ini berkenaan volume. Jadi kalau kita dapat mengeluarkan yang pun feedstock yang besar, kita dapat menghasilkan minyak belon yang volumenya besar.
Speaking in a press conference after officiating the kernel crushing plant at the second Lubuk Antu palm oil mill today, Abang Johari also commended Salkra's early success in converting palm waste, such as kernels and residue, into biofuel suitable for various applications. He explained that such materials can be used to produce SAF, a cleaner jet fuel that's now critical to the aviation industry's push for net zero carbon emissions.
All the waste are used, and all the waste are monetized. Once it is monetized, it becomes an income to the smallholders, to the landowners, to our syarikat kita. Dan at the end of the day, kita ekspor. Kalau bahan makanan ternakan kita ekspor, kita ada import lagi, kita ekspor makanan.
The Sarawak government is planning to establish a special entity to centralize the management and processing of palm waste. Sarawak Premier Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Joritun Openg said he will hold discussions with the Minister of Food Industry, Commodities and Regional Development, Datuk Sri Dr. Stephen Rudi Utom, and State Attorney General Datuk Sri Safri Ali to reassess existing laws on waste management. According to the Premier, waste sharing remains limited as some parties are reluctant to hand over their byproducts.
Peguam Besar Negeri untuk melihat undang-undang di mana kita ada 85 bil dan mereka boleh bekerjasama bahawa sisa-sisa yang dibuat mereka kita collect semua dalam satu center di mana dia boleh diproseskan untuk mengeluarkan hasil sampingan secara besar. Umpamanya tadi disebut biofuel.
In his speech, Abang Johari emphasized that a centralized waste management system is vital to ensure sufficient volume for efficient processing and economic viability. He added that the approach not only supports sustainable agriculture, but also benefits all palm oil mill operators in Sarawak by turning waste into economic opportunity. Meanwhile, Sarawak Premier Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Joritun Openg is scheduled to speak at the inaugural ASEAN 2025 Women Economic Summit, or AWES 2025, tomorrow in Kuala Lumpur. He announced the matter while speaking at the launch of a biography entitled Tan Sri Dato' Empiak, Legacy of Empowering Dayak Women, at a prominent hotel in Kuching earlier today.
Tomorrow, I've been requested to speak at the ASEAN Women Summit on the role of women in ASEAN. It is Women's they call it the women shaping the future of ASEAN.
AWIS 2025, scheduled from 24 to 25 May 2025, is hosted by the Women Leadership Foundation in partnership with the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry as part of Malaysia's chairmanship of ASEAN this year. With the theme Empowering Women, Energizing ASEAN, Pioneering Economic Integration for a Resilient Tomorrow, the summit gathers over 700 women leaders, policymakers, entrepreneurs, and change agents from across Southeast Asia.
Banyak 1,400 pertemuan business to business serta 900 pertemuan business to government selama 5 hari 5 berlangsung. Semua ini memberi gambaran yang baik terhadap penganjuran 5 dan juga perkembangan dan masa depan industri pertahanan negara.
He said this in his closing speech at Lima 25 at the Mahsuri International Exhibition Center earlier today. This year saw the participation of 860 exhibitors as well as a turnout of 450,000 visitors from all commercial and business sectors, both domestic and international delegations, as well as the general public. Lima 25 is organized by the Defense Ministry, emphasizing innovation and enhancing competitiveness among industry players in line with current technological developments. The exhibition is the largest in the maritime and aerospace industry in Southeast Asia since it was first held in 1991. Malaysia is set to establish ASEAN's first Women's Economic Empowerment Center in Kuala Lumpur to ensure the bloc's potential and opportunities are accessible to all, including micro, small and medium enterprises, youth and women. Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry, Dato' Sri Tengku Zafrul Aziz today said this aligns with the country's ASEAN 2025 chairmanship theme, inclusivity and sustainability. Speaking at the ASEAN Women Economic Summit 2025, AWIS, Zafrul said Malaysia is placing growth at the heart of Southeast Asia's policies. Besides AWIS, ASEAN supports women and youth entrepreneurs across the region through platforms such as the ASEAN Women Entrepreneurs Network, the ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council, the Social Enterprises Development Program, and the ASEAN Youth Organization. Zafrul said the challenges facing the bloc's individual countries are unique, but AWIS must strive to ensure region-wide solutions, even though it will take time. He added that among the awaited outcomes of AWIS are quick wins to create gender-inclusive ASEAN-wide standards and policies, as well as improve access to finance. A massive Russian drone and missile attack on Kyiv today wounded at least 15 people, just as Russia and Ukraine were in the middle of a major prisoner swap. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia had launched 14 ballistic missiles and 250 attack drones in total overnight, adding that Kyiv was the main target of the Russian attack. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiga said the barrage was a clear evidence that increased sanctions pressure on Moscow is necessary to accelerate the peace process. Kyiv city officials reported fires and fallen debris in several parts of the Ukrainian capital. Ukraine said Russia was doing everything it can to prevent a ceasefire and continue the war. The Russian military, meanwhile, said Ukraine had targeted it with 788 drones and missiles since Tuesday.
Считаем подобное поведение прямым следствием поддержки украинских нацистов, прежде всего со стороны некоторых европейских стран во главе с Британией, Францией, Германией, руководство Европейского Союза, и убеждены, что они несут свою долю ответственности за эти преступления. Будем твердо добиваться того, чтобы был положен конец этой политике.
The attack on Kyiv came hours after Russia and Ukraine completed the first stage of a prisoner exchange agreed at talks last week in Istanbul, which, if completed, would be the biggest swap since the start of the conflict. Both sides received 390 people in the first stage and are expected to exchange 1,000 each in total. Russia has signaled it will send Ukraine its terms for a peace settlement after the swap, which is set to continue over the weekend, without saying what those terms would be. The U.S. on Friday has formally lifted comprehensive economic sanctions on Syria. The move marks a dramatic policy shift following the end of Bashar al-Assad's regime and opening the door for a new investment in the war-torn country. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Syria must continue its efforts to becoming a stable and peaceful country, which will put the country on a path to a brighter future. The move formalized a decision announced by President Donald Trump last week. During a Middle East tour, Trump unexpectedly announced that he was lifting brutal and crippling Assad-era sanctions on Syria in response to demands from Turkey and Saudi Arabia. The sanctions relief extends to Syria's new government with conditions that the country not provide safe haven for terrorist organizations and ensure security for religious and ethnic minorities. The State Department simultaneously issued a waiver enabling foreign partners and allies to participate in Syria's reconstruction, giving companies the green light to do business in the country. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Friday said the waiver would facilitate the provision of electricity, energy, water, and sanitation and enable a more effective humanitarian response across Syria. The authorization covers new investment in Syria, provision of financial services, and transactions involving Syrian petroleum products. The U.S. had imposed sweeping restrictions on financial transactions with Syria during the country's 14-year civil war and made clear it would use sanctions to punish anyone involved in reconstruction as long as Assad remained in power. After the toppling of Assad last year, Syria's new government has been looking to rebuild relations with Western governments and roll back punishing sanctions. And those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I am Razi Ahmad. Thank you for watching and have a good night.